So Tai Tuivasa versus Sergei Pavlovich is official for the UFC Orlando card in December, and also Floyd Mayweather versus Nate Diaz could be taking place in a boxing match at Rising if Floyd Mayweather can get past Deji Olatunji, which sounds absolutely crazy to say out loud. However, that's what's going on right now in the world. So this is my MMA news reaction video. Let's start with the legit MMA news, which is, what is Tai Tuivasa doing? What is Tai Tuivasa doing? I don't understand what Tai Tuivasa is doing. This could be a moment in Tai Tuivasa's career that could dictate the rest of his career. If this doesn't pay off against Sergei Pavlovich, it's going to be real bad for him. Because he just took a whole bunch of damage just like 4 weeks ago against Cyril Gane. A month ago against Cyril Gane. He took so much damage in that fight. And now, after being TKO'd, like, he's been TKO'd before, but this one was a really bad one. You know, he got caught by JDS, but he was still throwing punches back on bottom against JDS, but he just wasn't really effectively defending himself and stuff like that. He got finished in a kickboxing match as well, and that was more exhaustion. He also got finished in like an amateur MMA bout as well, but that was more of exhaustion as well. This was a real beatdown against Tai Tuivasa where he took a massive amount of damage, broke his nose as well. Why is he turning around to fight Sergei Pavlovich this soon afterwards? I just don't understand who manages these fighters. Like, they genuinely need to be stopped from themselves. After that fight, Tai Tuivasa, listen, the UFC Perth card in Western Australia, where you're from, by the way, Drink West. Western Australia, stand up! Ish, A, FTA! Like, that's all you say on the microphone. If you fight in December, maybe you'll be able to fight in February afterwards if you get a one-shot KO win whilst taking no damage against Sergei Pavlovich, which is a big ask, by the way, because I don't even know if you're going to win. But if you lose, you can't even fight on that card. But the point is, that card's taking place in February. I'd still want you to have about 6 months off after that Cyril Gane fight. And you're already looking to book a fight in 8 weeks at UFC Orlando? I'm sorry, but does UFC Orlando really need it? We got Stephen Thompson, Kevin Holland, Tuivasa Pavlovich. We got Tracy Cortez, Amanda Ribas for the eye candy. We've got Nicolau versus Schnell. Schnell's been a big name recently. We've got Derek Brunson versus Jack Hermansson on the card. Rafael Dos Anjos versus Brian Barberena. Do we need Tai Tuivasa versus Sergei Pavlovich on this card? That could be on the main card of a pay-per-view in Australia in February. I believe Sergei Pavlovich is going to KO Tai Tuivasa, and we're going to look back at this very moment and say that was one of the worst decisions, management-wise, that a fighter has ever made in their entire career. I love Tai Tuivasa. So much respect for him after a loss to Cyril Gane. And I kind of understand why he's doing this. I kind of get it. He's a family man. He wants to have Christmas with his family. So he's got an opportunity before Christmas to fight someone. How much money do you need? How much money do you need? You just took so much damage. How much did he get paid? Let me see the UFC Paris payouts, which could be pretty accurate. We'll see how it goes, though. Hopefully they do actually disclose some kind of earnings. But I feel like Tai Tuivasa is a pretty well-paid fighter in general. Most heavyweights are. You're not starving for money here, Tai Tuivasa, okay? So Tai Tuivasa made against Derek Lewis at UFC 271. Tai Tuivasa made at the start of this year, so he's already had 2 fights this year. He fought Derek Lewis and got 90 for 90, plus a performance bonus, plus Venom bonus. That's $241,000. I can only imagine on natural progression of a contract, he at least made 100K to show against Cyril Gane, plus the fight of the night bonus. So we're at least looking at something like 161,000 for Tai Tuivasa against Cyril Gane. Plus it was the main event, so that's even more of a Venom bonus. So probably something like 170, 180,000 that he made in a loss to Cyril Gane. Why do we need this extra fight this year? Is there something in Sergei Pavlovich's game you see you can win by doing? Fair enough, he looked okay against Cyril Gane. But Gane isn't going to crash forward early. Pavlovich is, with intense power and crazy reach. And that does play into your game. But I don't want someone to play into your game when you're not at the top of your game right now. You just took a whole bunch of damage against Cyril Gane. And now we're fighting in December. This is like to me, this is like a Ferguson versus Li Jingliang being booked. A fair play, Tai Tuivasa isn't that far into his career like a Tony Ferguson is at the age of Tony Ferguson and stuff like that. Tuivasa's still 29 years of age. But surely there's someone as an MMA coach around him that should be saying, no, let's wait, let's enjoy the rest of the year to recover, and let's get straight to work after Christmas and fight on the Perth card in Western Australia in front of all of your home fans in Western Australia where you are. That, like, it's in Perth. That's your spot. You're the Perth guy out of the Australians. You know? There's Australians from Sydney, from other parts of the world. You're the Perth guy. You're from Western Australia. Why not fight there against Sergei Pavlovich on the main card of the pay-per-view? Is he just trying to cash a bit more money in? Does he really believe he's easily going to win against Sergei Pavlovich? I think Sergei Pavlovich, who, by the way, is coming off no damage against Derek Lewis. He barely got touched. He just, by the way, beat Derek Lewis way easier than Tai Tuivasa did. Now, fair play. You know, it was a little bit of an early stoppage. But Tuivasa was getting, like, beaten early on in the Derek Lewis fight and came back to win. Pavlovich just started destroying Derek Lewis as soon as the bell sounded. And he's young, 30 years of age, 6'3", probably more like 6'4", 84 inches of reach. And he swings outside of the pocket with people when they think they're inside the pocket with him. He's going to have a 9-inch reach advantage over Tai Tuivasa, who has a 75-inch reach. A 9-inch reach advantage in the heavyweight division. This is an incredibly stupid decision that they've made. And also, it just comes down to the same thing again. Why are the UFC even looking to make these fights? Is it that, like, Sergei Pavlovich desperately wanted to fight this year again? And they've just been like, well, who's going to take it? And Tai Tuivasa's like, well, I'm not going to let someone else take it. I'll take it. But that's just like, Tai Tuivasa, take some time off, fight this guy in February. If he wants to fight in December, let him fight a guy below him in the rankings. Recover from the beating you just took. I rewatched that fight recently. Again. In round 3, Tai Tuivasa took so much concussive damage. It wasn't just like, oh, I got caught by a punch, you know? It wasn't like, oh, you randomly got caught after beating Cyril Gane and dropping him. You took so much concussive damage in round 3. You got rocked multiple times with head kicks. Front kicks to the face, big punches, and then put away and wobbled and then put out. Like, it's not a good look for him to be returning this soon. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever why you would do that. And I'm looking at other people in the rankings. Why not, like, wait around for a Tom Aspinall bout? He's recovering from something right now. You could have waited around for another bout. Maybe he just really likes this matchup compared to the others. But, man, I don't like this at all. And it's hurt me to see this news. It really has. It's a great fight. I'm more than an MMA fan, though. I'm that much of an MMA fan that I can be annoyed by big fights being made. Someone who kind of follows the sport would be like, oh, cool, another Tai Tuivasa fight against Sergei Pavlovich at the end of the year. Someone with that kind of mind who's not too into the game of MMA would say, amazing news. But to me, it's like, this is the jeopardy of a career. Perth. Do the Perth card in February. It's a great card. It really is a great card. It really, really is a phenomenal card. And it brings me back to some arguments that I have about them overstacking certain cards, but I'm not going to complain too much. But man, December the 3rd? 7 weeks? He barely gets past his like 90-day curfew from fighting. I'm pretty sure. Like, if you go to Tai Tuivasa's page, when's the perf card? The 4th of December? He fought on, like, the 9th of September. Or the 3rd of September. So he barely gets by that 90-day suspension window. And he might not be able to fight on the perf card if he loses here, because he won't be able to get past that 90-day window if he loses by finish. But, man, I mean, I respect him for doing it. It's going to be a great card because of him. But, man, it just seems silly. This could be the main event of a fight night. Like, why do you have to put... You're just putting yourself in a bad marketing spot in the co-main event. Please, Tai Tuivasa's manager, if you're watching this video, I know sometimes people watch my videos. I said this fight should be made. And they made it. I'm not going to say it's my fault only that they made it, but some people are commenting. They're listening to the MMA guru again. Like, I know Cody Garbrandt watched my video, or Cody Garbrandt's manager, to make the Rani Yahya fight. But, like, this is so bad. You're not in a massive promotional spot in the co-main event under Thompson versus Holland. You're not going to get a massive spotlight. Like, it just... Why not the UFC 282 card? The pay-per-view. You could be on the main card of that in December. It's done. This is... Please, Tuivasa's manager, if you're watching this, get him off the card. Just get him off that card and save him until February. I don't care if I'm sounding bad or why are you being complaining about everything. This is just such a... I feel like this is, again, a moment we're going to look back at in about 3 years' time and think to ourselves, man, what if Tai didn't do that? Man, Tai Tuivasa, you know, he's trying to bounce back against Blagoy Ivanov in a rematch. But imagine if he didn't take that Pavlovich fight so quickly after the Gane one. Like, I feel like this is one of those moments where we're going to look back and think, what if? What if he just took his time and fought in February? I don't understand what he's doing, but maybe he wants to fight. Maybe in hindsight, you know what? Something that could happen. He wins against Pavlovich amazingly. Good stuff, Tai Tuivasa. And then he also fights on the perf card, and I look like an idiot, but I just don't see it happening. I don't. If you wanted to give Sergei Pavlovich the biggest chance possible to beat Tai Tuivasa, well done, his management team. You've done it. There you go. That's how it goes. Anyway, we move on. I mean, what? Even like the Cannonier Strickland card, December 17th. That's got Perez Albazi as the co-main. To Saruki and Ismagulov. We don't have much else other than that. Why not go on that card? We're just overstacking the cards with crowds, which is what they're doing nowadays. But whatever. We move on. Floyd Mayweather versus Nate Diaz is another thing in the news. I'll only spend a little bit of time on this because it is just a bit silly. But the Rising president came out and said... that he's interested in making Nate versus Floyd Mayweather. We do think we're at a point where we can't just only focus on the Japanese market anymore. We have to target the international audience. So with that said, Floyd Mayweather's opponent doesn't have to be a Japanese fighter anymore. It's just one possibility thinking about the future. Not only Floyd's opponent, but Nate Diaz as an individual has a great amount of character, fight style, and a great following internationally. So as an individual, he would definitely be someone that we'd be interested in talking to. So they're thinking about making that if Floyd can get past the great behemoth, Deji Olatunji, comedy shorts gamer himself. Absolute crazy. What a crazy turn of events. I remember being a kid watching Slavery FIFA. If you guys remember those videos, and they were just like whipping each other with belts, playing FIFA, and like the things that they would do. And now here we are. Deji's fighting Floyd Mayweather. And if Floyd can get past him, he fights Nate Diaz. What a weird world we're in. Or when KSI would play horror games and Deji would like freak out in the background constantly, terrified. That guy's fighting Floyd. What a world we are in. But either way, I don't mind this for Nate. I made a video after Nate like officially left after the Ferguson fight. And I said, like, what is he going to do? Like, who is there out there for him? And I didn't even consider Floyd. I think I did consider Floyd, but I didn't consider it as, like, a reasonable thing that would happen. I thought, like, it's Jake Paul, maybe Floyd, and nothing else. So, if they want to give Nate Diaz $5 million to fight Floyd in an exhibition match, and he's going to make a decent amount of money there with that, then that's good for them. And it'll bring a lot of attention over there. But I feel like joke fights, hear me out here, and this maybe is my major take on these types of fights happening. joke fights equal joke promotions. Am I wrong or am I right? When I see Ryzen, if I know Ryzen because a bunch of fighters have came up through Ryzen, they're a legit promotion for MMA. If I didn't know who Ryzen was, like a lot of people that may tune into Mayweather versus Nate Diaz if it happens, wouldn't know who Ryzen were as an organization. If you were a fan who didn't know who Ryzen was as a promotion, and you saw Ryzen promotion in Japan was putting on an exhibition match between Nate Diaz versus Floyd Mayweather, in my mind, if that was me, I'd think to myself, must be a joke of an organization with just random rich people paying for crazy fights. You know what I mean? Like, I think it just looks bad on them. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. And we'll see what happens with Jake Paul and Anderson Silva, because that could put a wrench in Floyd Mayweather's plans. Anyway, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I think Floyd beats Nate, obviously, but it could be interesting. Nate's tough. Who knows? See you later. Goodbye. Toodle pip. Tai Tuivasa, get off the card. Go to Australia. I'm sorry. Goodbye.